for joining Wednesday Wellness Chat here on October 9th. I'm Dr. Michelle Fritsch. I'm the co-founder of Propel Comprehensive Wellness, and we're finding ourselves gathering on a heavy day. There's just been so much going on with natural disasters and wars. So before we start, I want us to all take a deep breath or two. When we are very anxious or distracted, it's hard to concentrate and it's hard to listen and understand. So I'm just going to invite you all to take a very deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for a bit. And then breathe it out through your lips. And I encourage you to do that a lot over the next few days, because I think we're going to be hearing more and more difficult news, difficult to process news. Today, I want to talk about having purpose in life. And I got to tell you, I'm in North Carolina, not in the mountains, but not far away. And I have seen so many people respond to opportunities to help, finding purpose in that. People of all walks of life, all backgrounds, all financial states, finding some way to jump in and help. And that response was immediate. So if you think the world is got more bad than good, I have to tell you, a lot of good has been demonstrated. And so let's remember that as well. And a piece of that is just finding that way that you're unique, whatever your situation, your skills and your experience, your connections can help other people. And there's been a lot of that. People saying, well, I've got a cousin in Virginia with a helicopter, let me tell them that where the need is, all sorts of interesting connections. I want to back up a little bit and talk about, why do I care about purpose? I'm a clinician, I'm a pharmacist. What do I know about it? So I want to tell you a little bit of the backstory, because I don't think I talk about that a lot. I am board certified in geriatrics, and my emphasis has been primary care. That means I've been in clinics caring for older adults for the most part, all of my clinical career. And I early on, I love caring for people at all ages and stages, but I saw that if you want to be preventative and make a big difference, I've kind of marched backwards from celebrating 100-year-old birthdays to moving backwards to really focusing on people in their 50s, 60s, and early 70s, because that's where we can make difference, we can make decisions, we can do some planning that leads to a lot less chaos later in life. And so I get great joy in being in that place. And as a clinician, for the longest time, I thought the difference was diet and exercise and weight management and diabetes management and blood pressure management. Those things are very important. And maybe this is obvious to the rest of the world, but it came to me as a huge epiphany somewhere in 2015 to 2017, that the difference in the people that really thrived and lived a really long time engaged in life was purpose. And I started watching the people that kept themselves busy every day, had hobbies, had things to do, or maybe didn't even do that, maybe spent a lot of time with the television, compared to those people that were out and about and doing things and living. And when I saw them in their 80s, 90s, and 100s, they were still going. I remember getting a fitness lesson from a man at his 100-year birthday party. That was incredible. Or the woman that was into Pilates well into her 90s, and you would never dream that she was into in her 90s. So having heard those stories and encountered those people, I finally had the light bulb go off that all of those other health things are important, but wow, purpose is a key part. So I kind of want to dive into that today. And I will tell you, I spoke to a group of people on Thursday afternoon this past week, and I asked the question, what's the difference between living with purpose and staying busy? And to a person, they all thought it was the same thing. There wasn't much understanding of that. So if you were with me a couple of weeks ago, we talked about that the short version is that when we keep ourselves busy, it tends to be very internally focused. What do I want to do? What do I like to do? What hobbies do I want to pursue? What do I want to do with my day? Purpose takes this beautiful mix of your skills, the things that excite you, the things that bother you, your own personal life experiences, and gives you your very unique way to reach out to others. And it's amazing that when you reach out to others, it boomerangs right back and is actually the thing that fills you up much more so than staying busy. And it's been a beautiful thing to watch with many, many different clients and friends and neighbors over the years. So in the last 2 days, I've spoken with two people who are in their 50s, not quite ready for retirement, but in their 50s, who they're making great salaries. They've had very successful careers. But when we did the life purpose scan, which is our first step, when I work with clients, it starts with the life purpose scan. And we talked, realized that they were not fulfilled at all in their current jobs, brought a great salary, took care of their family, allowed them to pay the bills, that kind of thing. But they weren't fulfilled. They were actually pretty burned out, not satisfied with what they were doing. And the thought of retirement was a miserable thought, because if they couldn't figure out how to stay happy and do what they wanted to do in their very successful career, my goodness, what were they going to do beyond that? And I realized that's probably true of a lot of people, that from the world's perspective, we look mostly at money and it looks like they're very successful. But there's so much more to really being engaged in life and getting the most out of it, which comes back to purpose. And I have to tell you, I'm working with both of them on uncovering their purpose for the future. And it is such a fun process because you just see people get more and more excited about what's coming next for them if they didn't have much of an idea about it before. So how does that tie to health? Why does having a purpose have anything to do with being one of those people that still go, 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 in their 80s and 90s and beyond? Well, I think there are a lot of pieces to that. And it goes back to those elements of health I mentioned earlier. When you've got purpose, you've got a thing that you are just really anxious to do, you're fully engaged in it, you tend to be around more people. Tends to be the people that share your interests, that have similar purpose, but you're out and about. You're not in the house all day. You're out and about doing this purpose with those other people. And by being out, you move your body more. I'm not saying necessarily go to the gym, but when we're at home, we tend to sit and sit a lot. When you're out doing, you're moving. Even if it's getting out of the car, in and out of the car and going into buildings or whatever, you're moving your body more. And the more you move your body, that is directly tied to health. You tend to maintain your weight better when you're more active and out doing things. And when we're home, especially if we're coming from a situation where we had a bigger family, lots of people to feed, often when people are empty nesters, just a couple or just one person, meals tend to get simpler. Something quick and easy, often like a one dish, a one thing kind of meal. Sometimes even one of those microwave things popped in the microwave. There's not the nutritional value that you have when you eat bigger meals. And it's easy to get sucked in to some of the less healthy foods, especially when you're emotionally drained, you're feeling kind of depressed, you're feeling left out, you're not really engaged in life. It's so easy to grab those cheese nips or whatever kind of food versus when you're out and about, you're going to go to meals often with other people, you're sharing those meals, you're going to eat better things. And then from the emotional standpoint, the more we're alone, the more isolated we get, our emotional health tends to suffer. More anxiety, more what ifs, more thinking about things you can't control. Like, my goodness, isn't today a tremendous example of that? As Milton is approaching Florida, and there's not a thing we can do about it. So when you get consumed with those thoughts, that really pulls you down. And then when we're more depressed, we do more stress eating and we tend to move less, and it all becomes a vicious cycle. And the other key element that we've talked about before is sleep. When you're living with purpose and you're out and about and you're seeing other people and you're eating better and you're moving more, in general, you sleep better. When you have more time by yourself, when you're in the house more, when you're moving less, that tends to negatively impact sleep. So I think it's fascinating how the entire package is all wrapped in on itself. It's all related from each of those elements of our health and how they're tied to purpose, and how that is tied to whether you're one of the people giving me a fitness lesson at your 100th birthday, or you're one of those people that fades away. And I don't know if I really clarified that at the beginning. The reason I left academia and regular healthcare was I was watching great mentors of mine, people that had huge positions, lots of authority, everything seemed fine. And then they retired, and then they just sort of faded away. They didn't know what to do with themselves. They weren't out and about so much. You didn't see them, as frequently as you did. They weren't engaging with other people. It was the saddest thing to watch. And I've seen it so many times that I realized I've got to find a way to get in front of that. So if that's you, or if you've seen it happen and you really don't want that for yourself, I will tell you, we've got an entire process, because it would be beautiful if purpose were something that you could go to the store and just pick one off the rack. I want the orange and purple one, and you just pull it off and that's yours. We're all uniquely designed for our own unique purpose, and sometimes that's not intuitive. So if you would like help to get there, we've got an entire process to help you with that. I'll either help you one-on-one, I'm glad to do that, or I can give you a program that all the information is in a platform. You log in and you can spend as little as 3 minutes at a time just walking through a process that lets you think about what things in your life have shaped who you are and what you want to do in the future. What are your goals and dreams, and how does that shape that? What are your unique skills and gifts, and what really bothers you in the world? We'll walk through all of it and help you uncover, like, what is my very unique purpose? So I'm going to put that link in the chat. Again, we would love to work with you. My partner, Ellen, and we're working with several people right now. And again, as they get closer to figuring that out, it just gets brighter and more exciting, and the opportunities kind of come along. And I would love that for you. And if you use code PURPOSE, very original, then we're glad to give you a big discount for coming and spending this time with us.